Hey everybody, it's Master Galengeist here, bringing you my review for the anime Sword Guy, the animation. And this anime is weird, mainly because it's been split into the two cores, and the ending of this anime is just like, that's where you're gonna end it? Okay. But overall, it's kind of weird. How do I put this? The main character really is not well done at all, and just sucks. I mean, there could be some other things that they could do and develop the character, but I mean, they had about 12 episodes to do that, and really didn't do much. The strange part is, they did a better job of doing character development for all the kinds of supporting characters that were going on in this show. I was like, every time they went to Guy, the main character, and his struggles with the Shiryu and everything going on with him, I'm like, I don't care about this dude. Like, I don't hate him or anything. He hasn't done anything completely dastardly or anything. He's just a void of, like, nothing almost. I mean, they put some stuff in there, mainly dealt with the Shiryu and all that, but he is supposed to be the main focus, or at least it is led to be that, but it is not well executed at all. I don't think you would be remiss in watching it, because there's some good action scenes as mainly an action anime, but you really won't get sucked in mainly to the characters completely. So, the basic premise of this show is that weapons, given a long enough timeline, develop their own personalities and a lust for blood because of how many humans they've killed. This leads them to possess people and turn them into Busama. And that is a problem that humanity has had to contend with. We get some hints throughout the kind of beginning that something can be amiss, that there's other things laying in wait for what's going on. But it isn't until the end that it really provides, here's the reveal! It's like, cool, but why should I care? So, we start off and we see this shadow organization that's dealt with collecting these, trying to get one. Somebody's paying this group to dig one up. Zoltgein is what it's called. We get all the lore of these weapons, which is really interesting. I like that aspect of this. Going through all different time periods and all different kind of cultures for these different weapons. This one, Zoltgein, being based around a Roman sword dealt because this town was being slaughtered by these bandits and barbarians, and they kept praying to the gods and nothing was happening, and then they thought, yeah, it'd be a good idea. We're probably going to die anyway, so how about we summon a demon? Spoiler alert, not a good idea, because came up, killed everybody, and then killed everybody else. And it's like, check mark not to do. So, they have evidently found this one, and this shadow group sent 2 agents in to get it. And they do. They get it from this one dude, and they go back, and they have it locked up in their storage, but one of the guys who was one of the partners, goes in, takes it, and goes fucking crazy. And we get some cool action scenes as he gets out and starts using the powers of this little guy and goes away. It's like, okay, cool. We then are introduced to the Shiryu. Evidently, this group has been trying to keep this blade placid and just doing these rituals to contain its evil. Well, one dude fucks up that ritual and goes crazy and starts murdering people. We then are introduced to Guy's parents, but we don't know it's Guy's parents, but I'm like, hey, this is probably going to be linked to what's going on. And we see that his parents are pretty cool. His father's trying to even spoil him before he's even born and all that. And the wife's like, oh yeah, we're good. And then they're just walking around, and then this dude's murdering people and kills the husband, which then pisses her off, and we see that the dude drops the sword, like, what the fuck's going on? And of course, she grabs a sword and runs him through it, and she starts getting possessed and everything, and goes around almost trying to kill people, and then she's like, no, I can't do this, goes out in the woods and kills herself. And then that's how Guy is born clutching the Shiryu. Okay, cool. You've got an effective setup. Then, of course, we flash forward. We see that he's been adopted by the one guy that had found him, and he is trying to become a blacksmith to make katanas. That's about the extent of it. His adopted father is more pretty much like, I'm trying to make sure that he can break the blade in his own heart. And I'm like, okay. And he's just interested in doing all this stuff while his daughter Sayaka is really interested in Guy, even though there aren't really any redeeming qualities of him whatsoever. We've shown in flashbacks that he's protected her and all that kind of stuff, but he's never really showed any warmth to her other than whenever there was danger, he would protect her, which also happens in this show as well. So, that gets into it. They're doing a sword ceremony. Sayaka's actually the one presiding over it, but one of the douchebaggy motherfuckers in the temple that doesn't like Guy pretty much sets off the blade. She chops off his arm, and then he's like going crazy, stabbing the grave of his mother, and this adopted father dude's like, you know what would be a good idea if I melt down this demon blade and make a new arm for him? Okay. Run with it. Run with it. So around this time we then start bouncing around between a couple different people. We bounce around between Marcus and Miki, who Miki is one of the other kind of people in the Shadow Organization, and we find out that him and the other partner who we've seen, Ichijo, are termed chrysalises because they have been possessed by weapons as well, but they're not full-on Usama yet. They will eventually turn into it. They're each rotated out of a deep sleep, but of course Miki is going after another weapon to acquire it. Marcus wants that weapon for the Philosopher's Stone in it because of the lore behind it. And I don't know what he wanted to do with the Philosopher's Stone part of it. Because he gets it, and then he goes crazy and tries to kill his ex-girlfriend, but of course Miki pops up, stops him, and is able to talk him down, and they get a pretty interesting friendship. I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. But of course it doesn't last that long throughout the rest of it. Then we then get introduced into other groups, other swords. It's mainly just, not groups, but introduced into other beings that get into possession of these weapons as it's kind of building up to a kind of something. It's just building out the cast with all these other kind of players involved. But the main ones are Ichijo with his chakram and Marcus and Miki. Miki, of course, eventually goes crazy and the Shadow Group liquidates him because he had come into possession of 2 legendary weapons, but that's about the extent of his characterization. Which, kind of creepily enough, his girlfriend that he had and that he had almost attempted to kill, then gets a frickin' face, I don't know if it was mask or some kind of plastic surgery to look like fucking Marcus's girlfriend, and they're essentially used to, I don't know, keep the chrysalis under control. I'm like, okay, all of these things are introduced, but they don't really go anywhere. I don't mind setting stuff up, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna need some payoff, but okay. I know they're going to be doing another core, but it's like, okay. So, of course, Ichijo is then sent off to collect Guy and the Shiryu because they'd heard about stuff going on and heard of it being used. And that's pretty interesting. He's trying to mentor Guy and all of the things that he's going to have to deal with. But, of course, it doesn't get through the numbskull kind of dude because he actually doesn't give a crap about anybody. I know his goal is to destroy the darkness and stop running from it, but that's only done towards the end of it. We do get a little bit of an interesting interplay in that we see a kind of reverse Guy having another Shiryu, that there's actually 2 involved, which that was a pretty interesting kind of lore story, but I'm already liking that guy better. Not just because he's the quote-unquote typical kind of good guy. He has an actual kind of character. He acts philanthropically to help people. He shows depth in caring for people and trying to help people do things. To a fault. That's not exactly why I like him. I like him because he has any kind of depth and any kind of personality besides, I gotta defeat the darkness. I don't care about Sayaka. I don't care about the people around there. I hate my mother, and I just want to make katanas. I'm like, okay. I don't care about you. So eventually, this thing culminates in them understanding that there's other Busoma out there, and that Zoltgein decides to attack the Shadow Organization at their home base. And the only ones that they've got left to send out are Ishijo and Guy. And that's a pretty cool fight scene, but then when it comes out that this Reaper guy, the first Busoma, pops up, which we had no inkling before, except that we'd seen him around, and he wants the Busoma to take over the world. I'm like, okay, typical kind of plot. I got you. Alright. And pretty much puts him into a stalemate to where Ishijo, I think, transforms into a full-on Busoma because he's in the armor and all that kind of stuff. And that's where it ends. Ishijo is changed, and Guy is had lost himself to the Shiryu when he was trying to fight Zoltgein and everything. I didn't really care much about many of the characters. I kind of was watching and was like, okay. Voice acting, I didn't have that much of a problem with. It was pretty good. I thought the voices matched the characters. The animation was alright. Didn't blow me away or anything. They did a good job of the transitioning between CGI and 2D when it was brought up as well, because the Busoma would sometimes transform into their kind of armored forms. I'm like, oh, okay. My main problem is it's just really bare bones, and the main protagonist that we are supposed to be attached to, since it's in the title, doesn't really grab you or anything, or really give you anything to latch onto. If you're gonna make a protagonist, or like an anti-hero, you gotta make them to the point where people can tolerate them and either like them or really kind of hate them and kind of want to see what they're going into. I really didn't even have much of an opinion on the dude. I'm going there's nothing here. I don't care if he lives, I don't care if he dies. I'm kind of more interested in any of these other characters being the main focus. I'd always be like, yeah, call it Sword Guy, the animation, and then just punt him out of the way and be like, go away. But we'll have to see how the second core and the next group of episodes turn out, but the only reason I would really watch it, if you were interested in it, is to see the fight scenes and to see the kind of crazy things that would sometimes happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend this at all. Either there's not really as much character development as there should be. There is some, but not enough to really get you invested, at least at the moment, to get you up to the cliffhanger. And the action is serviceable. It's pretty cool. There's some cool moments, but it's not on the level of other action anime that I've seen. So those are my opinion on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.